Welcome everyone to our session this afternoon. We're thrilled that you're joining us. We are joined here by Chris and Suf, and they're going to be talking about best use cases for credit management in D365 finance and supply chain. A couple of quick reminders for us as we begin. My name is Jenna and I'll be your moderator today. Should you have any questions through the presentation, please type those into the chat and we will hold those for the end. I know that we have a little bit of time at the end for those questions, so type them in and we'll make sure to get to them. Also, we want to make sure that you complete your session survey. So there are 3 quick questions found on the survey agenda. If you could fill those out, we will get that back to our speakers. And if you do need any CPE credits for any of the sessions you're attending, we will be sending out a session survey for you to complete for those CPE credits. Lastly, please be sure to check out our expo hall and visit all the great community supporters, ISVs, partners, and sponsors within the expo hall. Without further ado, I would like to extend a huge thank you to our speakers today, Chris and Suf. Chris, I will hand it over to you to take it away.
Thank you. All right, so I'm assuming everyone can see my screen and you can see this community summit. Thanks for joining. We are going to be talking about the best use cases for credit management in D365 finance and supply chain management. I'm Chris Rusing and I'll be co-presenting with Suf Hayes. So again, I'm Chris Rusing. I'm a senior consultant at Logan Consulting. A little bit about Logan. Logan Consulting has over 28 years of experience implementing and supporting ERP implementations, upgrades, and support. We specialize in manufacturing, distribution, and service industries. And we've been a ERP or Microsoft Dynamics ERP Gold member since 2003. We've been involved with AgZug and now D365 UG as a member and Gold contributor since 2014. Our core services include Dynamics AX and 365 assessment, implementation, optimization, and support. We heavily focus on the business process design aspect of the implementation and also program and project management. And I'll hand it over to Suf to introduce himself.
Thanks, Chris. I work at Stein Industries and I am the project manager for our Dynamics 365 for finance and supply chain management implementation project, which we are currently in the middle of. So a little bit about Stein Industries. It was founded back in 1907 in Wisconsin, actually. The early years were spent in the hide and fur industry. We've since sort of evolved from hide and furs, and currently we're organized into 4 different operating divisions. The first is Carlson Airflow Merchandising Systems. They design and manufacture perishable shelving, display hardware for grocery stores and supermarkets. The second is Carlson Fixtures. They're a designer and manufacturer of custom fixture solutions for retail stores such as Gap and Old Navy. The third is eSwitch. They're a manufacturer and distributor of electrical switches for computers, peripherals, and telecommunication equipment. And the fourth is 10 Logistics. They're a 3PL, a third-party logistics company, offering transportation solutions for domestic and global shipments. As you can see, a lot of different divisions that do different things, different types of businesses. 3 of them are heavily involved in manufacturing processes, but definitely have a different sort of needs and requirements.
Thanks, Suf. So with that, this is our agenda for today. I wanted to give you guys an upfront idea of what we're going to be covering. First, we're going to hand it over to Suf so he can talk about Dynamics 365 finance and supply chain management, the functionality of credit management, and Stein Industries a little bit more. So kind of, why D365 works, why did we decide to go with credit management, and the business reasons behind Stein Industries using credit management, just to get you an idea of the design that we decided to go with in this implementation. And when we get through those slides, we'll get to talking more about the D365 setup and also showing some demos. So the first thing we're going to show is how we track and maintain customer credit limits. We're going to show the workflow configuration, and we'll also have a quick couple slides on the demo of how we update customer credit limits. The next couple slides, we're going to be talking about the credit and collection parameters, specifically the ones around credit management, We're going to be talking a lot about document status check because that was a big design decision for this credit management and when sales orders will be blocked. Leading into that, we'll be talking about how we automatically block sales orders and the rules that we came up for blocking the sales orders and how we utilize those rules. Again, we'll show a couple slides of a demo of how a sales order does get blocked in their system. And then to finish it off and to kind of go through the whole life cycle of the process, we're going to talk about how we automatically release sales orders and show us a couple slides on the demo for that right there. So with that being said, first thing we're going to talk about is D365, credit management, Stein Industries. How does it all work together? So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Sue so he can continue on.
Thanks, Chris. So first of all, some of the reasons that Stein Industries chose Dynamics 365 for finance and supply chain management. We are a multi-currency company and in addition, multi-company. Each of the divisions is run as their own business, and they get consolidated up into a single, consolidated financial results. In addition, there's a lot of scheduling going on with our divisions. They build things sometimes specific to what their customers need. We definitely don't want to just keep inventory on hand for in case someone might use that particular version. So the capable and available to promise capabilities were very important in making our decision. We did a 10-year cost comparison when we were looking at different ERP solutions. And when we looked at it, the implementation as well as the ongoing annual cost over 10 years, it was competitive with the other solutions that we looked at. The advanced warehousing functionality was an important part of our decision as well. We have 3 very large warehouses that we need to manage, moving inventory around and tracking that, and that it was built into the system versus an add-on that we had to add on after the fact was important to us. Being able to get data in and out of the system in a variety of fashions was also very important. Our current system, it makes it very difficult to get information back in and make sort of mass updates. The cloud-based technology behind it was also a key factor. We looked at a lot of different solutions that were either only on-premise, or if they offered a cloud-based solution, it was essentially just an on-premise solution hosted somewhere else. And we also, part of what played in our decision was the no-code, low-code options. The more that we can extend capabilities to our business users, the better off we are. We have a fairly small IT department, and we want to let the people that are close to the business process be more involved in developing solutions that they need to do to run the business. So most of our sales within Stein Industries are from our business to other businesses. So the customers are other businesses. It's very rare that we sell directly to the consumer, but the customer size can vary. We can sell to a single location that only it's a chain with 1 location. It could be a chain, local chain with 10 locations. It could be as large as a national chain with 2,000 locations, as well as multinationals. So there's no guarantee that we're dealing with a very sophisticated business, but they're generally all businesses. The credit terms that we offer to the customers vary significantly with their creditworthiness. The single locations may not have very good credit with us. They may not pay their vendors very well, and we need to be able to track that, where our larger customers are probably much more creditworthy. Even within the same customer, it could be that those large chains sometimes are just ordering onesie-twosie kind of orders. They're ordering a piece that's just a fill-in for one thing, or they might be doing a large rollout. So the total dollar amount of the order can vary significantly, and it's not necessarily matched up to the amount of credit that we offer that customer. In addition to that, there may be customers that sort of have a regular amount of business they do from year to year and month to month, and then at a certain point in time, they have a need to do a large rollout going to all their locations. And the order size may be more than what we typically offer. In that case, we generally review their credit, and what we'd like to do is only have a temporary increase to their credit limit for that project that would go back down afterward, because we don't want to extend credit to that level permanently, basically. And then in addition to that, our customers are generally retailers, and their creditworthiness can change significantly from 1 month to the next, or 1 year to the next. And so being able to sort of handle that in a reasonable fashion is important to us. So in addition, our credit management is handled corporately. Our divisions process the orders, but all the credit decisions come back to our corporate finance team. We want that those decisions on whether we should extend credit to a customer or on an order is based on our data, rather than someone in the operating division saying, hey, we really need to make this sale. In addition to that, trying to coordinate between those different departments, between the sales and the division, sales department of the division, between the customer service department of the division, the operations department of the division, and then also corporate credit management can be very cumbersome if we have to do it manually. I'm sure you're all used to sending a ton of emails back and forth. We'd like to avoid doing that. Something specific to the Stein Industries businesses is that we have long lead times on our orders. So a customer may place an order and we're not fulfilling that order for a long period of time. It could be 30 to 120 days after they initially placed the order. Beyond that, we also want to check credit when they initially place the order, but again, make sure that the credit situation hasn't changed prior to shipping, which again is not in a day or two. It's 30 to 120 days later. Situations can change during that time period.
Thanks, Sue. So I hope you guys all had a nice rundown of a lot of the different challenges that Stein Industries was facing, and how we are looking to resolve and provide a solution for those challenges. So the first thing we're going to now discuss going into D365 and credit management is tracking and maintaining customer credit limits. So in this slide right here, we have the workflow configuration. There is a new workflow, a specific workflow that's for credit management. It's just brand new with the functionality that allows you to direct approvals of a new credit limit for a customer. One important setting is in the credit collection parameters. There is a switch called allow manual editing of credit limit. We have that set to no. So essentially, no one can just go ahead and click and change a credit limit. It has to go through a process, and it has to go through this workflow. Again, like I said, we have a new workflow form in credit management workflows. So you can see that once the functionality is turned on. And this goes right back to what Suf was just saying. We wanted this workflow so we could approve efficiency and have it go directed to the people that need to see it to approve it, and not just have it be approved by just by needing a sale. It also makes it more efficient by we have a setting to automatically post the journal. So essentially, once it's approved, once this credit limit's approved, it's automatically posted, and that credit limit is updated for that customer. So taking a look at what these fields look like in D365, if you're not familiar with a customer record, this is the credit collections fast tab of the customer record. This credit collections tab has completely been revamped with the addition of the credit management functionality. So we have a bunch of new fields. I'm just going to highlight on a couple of them. The first one is that total credit limit. So again, that's non-editable based on that parameter that we set prior to. And then we have the credit limit expiration date. So this will factor in blocking rules for, if a credit limit is expired, then we would block a sales order from processing if it's past that expiration date. And I want to hand it over to Suf to just give that a little bit more color into that expiration date.
Thanks, Chris. So right now in our current system, we don't have any expiration on their credit limit. So we could have a customer that hasn't purchased anything from us for 3 or 4 years, and we've extended credit to them. Well, all of a sudden, an order comes in, it processed through because 4 years ago they had a credit limit of $15,000. Well, their credit situation's changed. So what we want to do is make sure that we're reviewing credit limits generally on an annual basis. And it also means that older customers who we have extended credit to no longer sort of continue to carry that credit through without being reviewed on an annual basis. So this is sort of going to protect us from ourselves and make sure we're not blindly extending credit to a customer that shouldn't have it.
Thanks, Sue. And, piggyback on that and going to the next field, we have that credit limit change date. So this gives Stein, the view and the transparency of when the credit limit was last changed, so we can keep track of all that information. It's not through emails, it's all right there on the customer record. So right here, we have the credit limit adjustment form. So this is basically your typical form where you have the header and lines. You're creating a header of a credit limit adjustment type of credit limit. We can use also a temporary credit limit, but we're currently not using that. We're trying to, walk before we can run. But this credit limit adjustment is workflow enabled. So this is where the workflow comes in, and we can see how that works with a couple other slides right here. So before we get to the workflow, when you create a new credit limit adjustment, you can do a lot of different things with it. The first option, and you can see that top picture, is the generate option. So you can generate essentially credit limits from existing customers. So you can see any customer that has a credit limit out there, you can go ahead and just pull in what their credit limit is. You can generate from existing customer groups. We're currently still trying to figure out if we want to use customer credit groups, but this is something that they're going to be growing into and allows them to grow into it. And again, with Stein being new to the system and new to using this credit management functionality, the automatic credit limits allows the system to automatically increase credit limits if we wanted to. Again, that's something that we want to be sure we want to move into and think about and see how it's working in the system before we turn on things that start automating credit limits, right? So we just want to be careful with that, but I wanted to call it out as an option. In the second picture of the form, you can see basically what it looks like when you're the parameters of adjusting that credit limit. The first thing is the adjustment value. So in this instance, I'm increasing this credit limit of a customer by 5,000. Obviously, if you wanted to decrease, you could just put in that negative amount in there. Excuse me. We have also the expiration date. So we're putting in an expiration date that we can keep track of. Like Sue said, that's really important to Stein, just to maintain transparency for Stein internally and also keep track of that. And then, like any kind of parameters of a batch job or whatever kind of periodic tasks you're running in D365, you have the filter records. So obviously we can choose which customers we want to change this for. We can filter by customers or customer group or any kind of, field that's available on the customer. You can use that to filter. So in this instance, we just had that credit limit of that specific customer that was 15,000, and we added the 5,000 to increase the new credit limit to 20,000. And you can see the expiration date is available there at 12/31/2020. So once you get to a point of increasing that credit limit, you want to verify your new credit limit and then submit it to the credit limit adjustment workflow. And once this is approved, it will be automatically posted. So taking a look back at the credit and collections fast tab of the customer, we now see a total credit limit of 20,000 because we increased that 5,000, right? And now we have a new credit limit expiration date of 12/31/2020. And we have a credit limit change date of when we actually change this. So everything's tracked in this customer record. And basically, if you have access to that customer record, then you can see all this information. Take a quick drink of water here. So next, we want to talk about the credit and collections parameters. So with the credit management checkpoints, this is what we wanted to focus on within the credit and collection parameters. There's other settings in here, but we don't want to go through each one of these switches. We felt like the credit management checkpoint was the thing that we took the most time discussing during our design session, and we consider it probably one of the most important aspects of credit management. And essentially what this checkpoint means is that at what point is the credit of a customer checked? So at what point is the system going to say, I need to look at this customer's credit and evaluate if this sales order can be processed through, or does it need to be blocked? We also have the concept of grace days. Our D365 has a concept of grace days, which gives the customer whatever number of days you want to let the order go through without checking again. So for example, when you confirm the sales order, and it went through the credit management. If we did some changes and we confirmed it again, it wouldn't have to go through credit management again because we have a number of grace days to allow for that. So the two checkpoints that we decided for Stein and what made sense for them is at confirmation, at sales order confirmation, and at release to warehouse. And we have those grace days in there. And I just want to hand it over to Sue so he can give a little bit more reason for the business case of why we decided these two checkpoints.
Thanks, Chris. So initially, again, a lot of the items that we produce and sell to our customers are either custom or semi-custom configurations. And before we bring in the raw materials or we start manufacturing the specific version of our products that they're looking for, we want to make sure that the customer's creditworthy, because if they're not, and we're not going to go forward with that, we'd rather not even start that process. But again, because the lead time from when we start that to when we actually fulfill the customer's order could be 30 to 120 days, before we let the goods out of our hands, we want to make a check and make sure that again, they're still creditworthy. If we run into an issue, let's say that they were creditworthy when we confirmed the order, but something changed before we released the warehouse and start to ship the order out, we might make a decision at that point. Perhaps we're going to ask for a prepayment before we ship, or perhaps we're going to ask for 50% down. It gives us a chance before the goods have left our facility to do a check before we just sort of blindly extend that credit again. It's not really worthwhile for us in our businesses to worry about it sort of in between. In general, we don't have a ton of credit issues, but those are the sort of the two areas where we've seen times when we would have wanted to stop orders from either going forward or shipping out to our customers.
Thanks, Sue. So with that being said, we're gonna kind of get into more of the meat and potatoes of this functionality, and that really is talking about the automatically blocking sales orders, and specifically the rules for blocking sales orders. So there's right here the seven standard rules, I guess, that are out of the blocks. We have a bunch of them. I'm not going to go through and name every single one because we're going to talk about each one, but these are the 7 standard. So we're going to talk about why or why not did we set up this rule, and how did we set it up, and what does the rule mean? So to start off, we have the days overdue rule, which basically means that all customer sales orders are blocked for invoices 30 days or greater overdue. So essentially, if you look at a customer account and they are trying to confirm that sales order, but they have invoices that are overdue past 30 days, then that sales order is going to be flagged and then subsequently blocked. The next one is account status. Currently, we're not using this, but we have had some discussions of possibly using this just to flag maybe a customer that, it may not show up through past due invoices or other blocking rules, but maybe we just want to block everything that's coming through for the customer. We're talking about possibly using that. So currently it's not set up, but it's something that we're considering changing. The next two, terms of payment and credit limit expired. Terms of payment, essentially, kind of what Sue talked about earlier, essentially is that we have a terms of payment of credit card or prepay, which essentially is that, this sales order or invoice would be due as soon as we posted it, right? So we would want to just flag that, make sure that we have a prepayment for that sales order before we go ahead and confirm it. Likely, as the document says, checkpoint that we're looking to enforce this rule on. The next thing is the credit limit expired. So essentially, we have that expiration date, right? And for that customer that we showed previously, the expiration date was 12/31/2020. And what we decided is that we would have a grace period of 7 days for that credit limit of being expired. So, it's New Year's Eve, and we get back New Year's Day. Obviously, we're getting back the day after. It might be a couple days. Maybe someone's on vacation. They're out of town, right? They're not going to be able to check that credit until they get back to work. But sales orders could still be being processed. So we want to make sure that we have some kind of leeway. We're not going to be super strict on that expiration date. The next two is overdue amount and then the sales order. So overdue amount essentially is a combination of two things. It's a question of how much the customer is overdue, and then at what percentage of the credit limit is used. So both of these criteria have to be met in order for this blocking rule to be initiated. So currently right now we just have, if they're overdue $1,000 and the credit limit is over 100% used, then it will block a sales order. The next one is just kind of a check that, if we have a really big order, which is over 100 grand, let's say, for this blocking rule, then we just want to just double check that, hey, we're doing a big sale. Let's just make sure that we really want to move forward with this and everything is looking okay with that customer's credit. And I think Suf had a little bit more he wanted to explain with that 100K.
Yeah, sure. So most of the orders that come in are generally, I would say, in the $20,000 to $40,000 range. So most of the things that we process aren't ever going to run into that limit. It just gives us a chance to have our credit manager review or speak up, before it goes and processes through. The idea here is not to have a lot of things go through their review, but a handful a year that they just get a second look at, just makes sense in terms of our business.
All right. And then the last one that we have is pretty obvious, a credit limit used blocking rule. So again, we have that if the credit limit is over 100% used, then we're going to block that sales order. They've ran out of their credit limit. And so we want to block that sales order and then evaluate, should we let it go through or do we need to increase our credit limit? Just gives us another set of eyes on it. So we have that standard 7 blocking rules, but we also, D365 offers 2 additional blocking rules, and it's based on a ranking method. So we're basically going to be ranking payment terms, which is in combination of that previous one where we had that credit card and prepayments that would block. It's in addition to that rule, and then also settlement discounts. And so, the payment terms is pretty straightforward. Essentially, this picture right here, you can see all the terms of payment that Stein currently has. And this will populate automatically. But what you need to do is manually configure the rank of each one of these terms of payment. So the user would go in and manually change, let's say a user on a sales order could change in terms of payment from something that was, let's say, net 30 days to something more favorable, like net 7 days. Currently in net 30 days is a rank 70 and net 7 days is rank 20. So if that payment terms I'm saying it actually the opposite way, sorry. So let's say we have a net 30 days and the rank is 70, but we're increasing their terms to net 60 days, which is a rank 100. So essentially, if it's a higher rank than the previous one, then it's going to automatically block that sales order. So sorry, I didn't mean to be confusing, but essentially, if you're offering the customer better terms of payment, then we're going to block that sales order. So it's per sales order. Obviously, we have the terms of payment coming across defaulting from the customer. So if there is a reason why that customer service rep is changing the terms of payment to something to give them better terms, then we kind of want to take a look at that and determine why that's the case. Obviously, like I said, the opposite, if you're at net 30 days and you're changing to net 7 days and the terms are much stricter, that's not going to block the sales order. It's going to let it go through because the terms of payment are actually more favorable in Stein's perspective. And we have the same concept for the cash discounts. Again, all the cash discounts that we have in Stein are automatically just populating this table, but the user will have to go in and configure the rank. So again, if a discount is more favorable to the customer and that's changed on that sales order, then it will get automatically blocked. During testing, we realized that if there was a customer that just didn't have any cash discount and then they received a cash discount, so it was basically like a blank field, and then they received a cash discount, the system wasn't recognizing a blank. So that's just what we kind of figured out. So we put in just a 0% cash discount and defaulting our customers that don't have cash discounts to 0%. And so if that's changed anything additional, then it will get blocked. So that 0% is rank 0. That's the lowest rank. And then anything above that will then block that. So here's just a demo screenshots of what happens during a blocking of a sales order. In screenshot 1, what happened is that at the sales order confirmation, this sales order was blocked. You can see the error messages that you can see the error has been sent to credit management, and it's basically just been the posting has been canceled, right? You cannot confirm that purchase order. If you go to the credit management hold list, excuse me, let me take a drink of water. If you go to the credit management hold list, you can view the blocking reasons. And then in that, with the 3 right there, you can see the blocking reasons for why the sales order got blocked. It was the customer is exceeding the credit limit and they had invoices that were overdue. And so the last slide deck, part of the slides that we're going to go through is automatically releasing sales orders. And so we have, a process of manual method of releasing a credit hold or evaluating for release. And basically with the manual method, someone can go in with the credit management functionality and release a credit hold manually. And the options then pop up to say with or without posting, which means that, the documentation of that sales order confirmation would automatically be created or not. And I'm just going to hand it back to Suf to talk a little bit more about that with or without posting functionality and decision points that we made at the time.
Thanks, Chris. So again, because our customer service departments are in the divisions and our credit management is in our corporate facility, we chose to use without posting, and mostly so that when the order is confirmed, the customer service people have an opportunity to sort of do whatever they want to do next with that sales order. Again, we're setting the system up, and a lot of our current customers are not set up to receive automatic emails of sales order confirmations. And this gives our customer service department a chance to say, okay, it got released from credit hold, and now it's posting, and I'm posting it, and now I know that it's available and can do the next step. If we did that with posting, they'd have to sort of check or look at a tile and sort of see, oh, this order's out here, I might want to do something next with it. But because of that, because they're sort of different facilities and in different areas, and we wanted to do it without posting and sort of give it back to the customer service department to post and then process whatever they want to do next with that sales order confirmation.
Thanks, Suf. So another part of that manual method of releasing the credit hold is the other part, which is more automated, which is evaluating for release. And you can always evaluate for release and process the blocking rules at any time, like throughout the day. Maybe we have more cash receipts come in and the customer is no longer overdue on invoices, which would then, prompt a sales order to be automatic release. But another part of this process blocking rules is to turn it on for batch jobs. So what we have is this blocking rules batch job turned on for batch processing. So what that means is that it's going to be running just every day. So right now we're just going to have it run, I think around the afternoon time, just to set up that recurrence every single day. to process it. And this just is a step that we felt more comfortable with automation wise, to not have that person that's in charge of releasing those sales orders from the credit management hold list and letting it go to D365 just naturally as the day progresses of collecting on past due invoices or possibly increasing credit limits, whatever it is, right? That would remove the blocking rule for that sales order. That would release it. So what does that look like when we release a sales order? Essentially, the blocking rule that was originally there for that sales order is no longer active. You can see that invoice overdue. There's no check mark next to there. And then the sales order has now this ready for release, which is active. So we then can look at this sales order and determine that it's been ready for release, and it will continue processing. And that concludes our presentation. Here is information on from both Suf and I. If you want to reach out to us, check out our websites, anything you guys want. If you have more additional questions that maybe you want to ask afterwards, maybe an email or phone call will work better. There's our information. And now we will open it up to Q&A if there is any.
There are. Yeah, thank you for that great presentation. It's awesome to hear both the customer and partner side. So thank you both. The first question that we had was back a little bit. They were asking about the expiration dates. Are expiration dates required for credit checks and blocking rules exclusions to run?
No. So one of the blocking rules is, that expiration date blocking rule, right? Any of those 7 blocking rules, and actually the other 2 as well, those are all optional. Like, we decided at first that maybe we didn't want to go with account status. So if you didn't want to block a sales order based on expiration date, you just don't create a rule for that simply. So the blocking rules wouldn't apply for the expiration date.
All right, great. We had 2 more. Are the terms listed in the table shared with AP terms in D365?
Yeah, we did actually come across that. The terms of payment and the cash discounts, I think that's just like an AX 2012 thing that maybe has gone over to 365, but it was pulling both the terms of payment for AP and AR and as well the cash discounts. So good question.
All right, great. And then we had another question. Is there any place before order confirmation that credit rules can be applied? We don't want the sales order to be created if the credit blocks would occur.
Yeah, so, that document status check, that's the first one, sales order confirmation, but there always is the possibility of blocking a sales order well, I guess from a process standpoint, the sales order confirmation clearly is the first one. So yeah, you can't go at like time of sales order creation or something like that, regardless of what rules you have, right? Because something needs to prompt the system. So that sales order confirmation is out of the box the first one that you can do.
Okay, great. Those were our questions. Last call for any additional questions that you want to type into the Q&A panel. While we're waiting for that, just a friendly reminder to fill out your session survey. And we do still have a couple of sessions this afternoon, so head back to your agenda and decide which your next session will be. I don't see any other questions. So Chris and Suf, thank you both for joining us and taking the time to share your knowledge with us today. We greatly appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you.